So welcome to another segment as we try to look at another question paper. This is basically 2022. It says figure 1.1 shows a generalized cell F and G of living organism. Of course, if you're able to identify automatically, if you look at this one, this is simply coming from what we call an animal cell. So this is an animal cell, and this one here, G, is representing a plant cell. That's what you need to remember. So the question there, A, if you look at the solutions, simply says identify the part labeled H. So H there is pointing to the cell membrane, so that is representing the cell membrane, right? So you don't need to struggle with that. 2, how does part H differ from I? Now if you notice, I is representing the cell, is actually representing the cell wall, right? Then the part labeled J there, we can just name them, that is the vacuole, that is what you need to remember, and that is the cell membrane. So it says, how does the part H differ from I? Now if you look at part H, which is the cell membrane, how does it differ from the cell wall? Okay, so what I can say, number 1, maybe let me just give you maybe 2. I can simply say part H is selectively, so what you need to remember is that it is selectively permeable. It is actually selectively permeable, while part I is fully permeable. So that is what you can write there. It is actually fully permeable. What do I mean when I say it is fully permeable? Meaning that it can allow almost anything to enter and leave the cell. No wonder we're using, but selectively it selects what can go in and what can go out. The second one that I can simply talk about, I can simply maybe say that part H is made up of lipids. So it is actually made up of lipids and proteins. So it is made up of lipids and proteins, while part I is made of cellulose, a hard and rigid fiber. So that is what you actually need to remember. Of course, you can think about other differences, how the two parts are actually going to be, differing. Okay, so number 3 there that we are talking about, it explain the function of the structure labeled J. So what does in this case, J is simply the vacuole. So what is the function of the vacuole? In simple terms, that's what they're telling you. So 1, I can simply tell you that part J helps to maintain, so it actually helps to maintain the shape of the plant cell. So it actually helps to maintain the shape of the plant cell. Apart from that, you can even say that it stores nutrients. So there are some nutrients and water. So there are some nutrients that are going to be stored in there. Now another aspect that you need to remember about the vacuole is that its concentration determines the movement of water. So I can say its concentration. So its concentration determines the movement. So determines the movement of water into and out of cell. So that's what happens. So the concentration of the vacuole will determine whether water will come in or move out of the cell. So it plays a very important role. Then the 4th one there, to which group of living organism? Remember, they want to tell you the group of living organism does cell F belong. So this, it actually belongs to what we call as being animals. Like we said, that is an animal cell, so it belongs to a group of living organism called animals. This one belongs to a group of living organisms that we call as bean plants. Please watch out and actually learn more in my next video.